Good evening. It is Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. Welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board voting meeting. This voting meeting will be followed by a work session. I call this meeting to order, and I ask our town clerk, Ann Spofford, to call a attendance roll call, please.
Councilman Baranowski.
Here.
Councilman Lombardi.
Here.
Councilwoman McDonough. Here. Councilman Shannell.
Here.
And Supervisor Kazari.
Here. Everyone would please rise and face the flag. Councilman Baranowski will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to recognize the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform serving in harm's way around the world. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with public comments. Now, public comments about the public hearing that we're going to have, save those for the public hearing so that we can get on to the public hearing. But if you have public comments about any other town business besides the zoning and the master plan, please go up to the microphone. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Not the 20-year-old one, no, Tom, the new one that we're going to do. Yeah. No.
Once we open the public hearing.
I'm saying if you have a public comment about some other thing you want to talk about, then go right ahead. We have one person. Yeah.
I might have a public comment. Are you addressing the,
Could you state your name?
How you doing, everybody?
How are
Todd
you?
McCormick, I live on 43 Walton Drive. How are you?
Okay.
Just wondering, are you addressing the issue, the cell tower issue over on Walton Drive this evening?
No, there's nothing about the cell tower tonight. No, that has to go to the planning and zoning boards.
Okay.
And then it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that has to go to planning and zoning for their review.
Okay, so that's where we're at then. That's been going to be submitted to that board for review?
Yes, that was sent to that board, yes.
So you guys will have nothing to do with that until they, issue their findings?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Mr. Fulshed?
It's planning and zoning review at this particular.
Yeah, it's planning and zoning, and if, that will be posted so that you can, either watch on TV or on YouTube or
Okay.
be in attendance. Now, you can't comment unless they ask for comments at those meetings.
Okay. Could I just make a general comment?
Sure. Oh, there'll be comments at that, okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, when are those meetings held anyway? When do they meet, the planning
Well,
board?
it's next Wednesday, and then it's every...
Second
Greg is-
Thursday of
Greg
the
is
month,
here.
and then the fourth Wednesday.
It's the second Thursday of the month and the fourth Wednesday of the month.
Right.
It's not on the next agenda, because the next agenda, yes, it's not on the next, but it will be posted.
Yeah, we'll let you know. As
Okay.
soon as it's on, I'll say it at our meeting that, on whatever day, so that you can hear.
Okay, appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, just one last comment, if I
Yeah.
could just hopefully refresh everyone's memory. I don't know, I was wondering what your familiarity was with that whole case, as far as, not the lawsuit specifically with Verizon, but with our situation, the neighborhood on Walton Drive. Are you
I'm
familiar with that?
Familiar with what was in the paper. Yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't on the board then, but, yeah.
I'm hoping that maybe Councilwoman McDonough can, or, and Mr. Lombardi, the other individuals that were part of that process can maybe fill you in on that. But I'm just trying to figure out what's going on next, because I know they were, when this whole process started, they came out and they found some, there's the whole lawsuit, I know, but we're just trying to determine what would happen next. Like, we're curious why it's going to the town zoning board. If I think originally that they found that it wouldn't pass any of the town codes and requirements, So we're just trying to understand
Yeah.
that whole process.
So I believe it was it's being brought back to them, so you guys all have, it's going to be a public hearing, so you guys can all go up and comment.
Okay.
So we needed to have you guys have an opportunity to
Oh, okay.
comment on it.
Because I know you actually did the right thing, you came out to the neighborhood that time in regards to
Yeah.
that. And, you know, I think you acknowledged that it wouldn't pass any kind of zoning, the zoning requirements that are in place now.
Yeah, so, yeah, but I'm not on the zoning and planning board. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why it's gonna go to, I'm gonna say Craig, but it's not Craig, it's the planning board and the zoning board. And then you guys all, the residents, whomever wants to, or the town, it doesn't matter, can go up to comment on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Just wanted to, make sure that it's, you guys, hopefully, will your thoughts will be, around it, and, just to make sure we're still, so, hopefully can come to some resolution there, and just wanted to make sure that was public. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you.
So before we do the public hearing, I don't know if any of you have gotten to watch the planning board meetings. There was one on the 28th of September, and there was one on October 13th. Very informative to listen to them discuss the master plan. They go into detail on the reason for the master plan and what's going on in it. They're just starting very early stages of it, but the planning board is going to go through the whole document. They're going to give us back their comments, their recommendations, things that they see that need to be changed, things that they like. So we will not be working anything on that until we get back the document from their review, okay? So we're not going to be doing anything with it, the board, until that point. But this public hearing and the other public hearing, this is just a continuous, like a listening tour kind of thing, where we're taking your comments in. We're going to hear what you're saying, pass that along to the consultant and to the planning board, and of course, take it all into ourselves too. So just so you know, on the 28th, it's at 43 minutes, the timestamp, and on the 13th, it's at 59 minutes, October 13th, if you want to see where they start. They spent a couple of hours working on that. Did you have a public comment, sir?
I just want to ask one question. Why, after so many years, are we looking to rezone everything? I've been here for 30 years.
Okay, sir, would you go up to the microphone?
I think I speak pretty loudly.
I know, but it's a process.
And we're going to continue to have more public hearings. And we're going to continue with. the
Yes,
public
and we're going to have more public
My name is
hearings.
Antonio Talley. I live at Colonial Association, okay? We have 30 families that we're representing here tonight that live on that. And I've been here for 35 years, same house. I'm just wondering why all of a sudden the rezoning of the lake. That's one of my questions. Just a reason why. Has there been any change
Well,
in the
it's town law.
conditions of the lake?
There's town law on having a master plan. It's every 5 years, I think, right? That we're supposed to update it?
But why is the town looking to take over the state land?
No,
It's-
that's not
it's
a-
a state,
that's-
it's a
That's not-
state,
That's not part of it, sir.
it's not a state lake?
No, we're not taking over the lake, sir. It's a draft master plan. No one's taking over the lake. If you wait until the planning board finishes their review, and then we'll talk about whatever changes there are, and then if you still don't like what you read or what you hear or see on Facebook, then you can come and comment on it. But I don't think that's a true statement.
Okay, so far from what I've read, it's kind of insane what you guys want to do there. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just my opinion.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate your opinion. So we're going to open up
She's got it.
the public hearing. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Seconded by Baranowski and McDonough.
you have to
All in favor? Aye.
No, because it's continuation, right? Okay.
What?
No, she doesn't have to read.
Oh,
Just it's continuation of.
oh, yeah, so this is a continuation of the public hearing, so. These are the only ones?
Mike, Mike, you mentioned that we had thought that the consultant was going to be here tonight.
Oh, yes, right.
That's why it was scheduled.
Yes, right. So the consultant is going to be at the meeting next Wednesday, right? Is it 26th? Yeah. The consultant we had scheduled the consultant to be at the meeting on the 12th. But this meeting, public hearing got moved to the 19th. So the consultant was unavailable to be here tonight, but she will be 6 to 7 on the 26th.
26th.
On the 26th, she'll be here at the planning board meeting. So the consultant is not here.
Well, yeah, prior to the planning board meeting.
Prior to the planning
Not-
board.
Not at the planning board meeting.
Right. So, so this is a
Continuation.
continuation of our public hearing that we started in September, right? Yeah. So there's only 4 people that signed up to speak. There's no one else wanted to speak? You want to
Mr.
speak to?
Supervisor, there'll be more public hearings as the process goes along, so.
All right.
By all means, we're not, it's going to continue on for the next few months to come on. As revisions get made, once the planning board submits their report to us, the consultant will look at it again with us, and we will continue. It's a continuing document that just going to continue to be updated and changed.
Right, and we're not closing the public hearing, so it's still open for you to either call town hall, or the best thing is to write an email to the board or myself, and we will send that on to the planning board and to the consultant.
Just for your information, the consultant, like the supervisor said, will be here October 26th from 6 to 7th, before the planning board meeting. She will also be here on November 9th and December 14th, all right, just so you all know. So the consultant will be here listening and engaging in the conversations as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. So Nick Archer?
Did you open it? Did you actually open
Yeah.
We opened it. Yep.
And is this
And
on
we
both?
waived the reading.
Is this on both? Or is it, right, because you have 2 public hearings. Good.
I think he just did on the first.
Just on the first.
Okay, I'm not sure the comments don't overlap.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
They overlap. Do we have to read this?
Oh, one second.
Nick.
So do you want to open it up, can you open it
No,
continuous
do
on
one
both?
at a time. Do one at a time.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Nick Acker. I live at 25 Pinecone Road in Mahopac.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of what I think is misinformation being spread in these anonymous letters, Facebook posts, and stuff about zoning. And I have just a main question that I think a lot of people here want to know is, does this zoning impact Lake Mahopac? Because in Section B, it says, nothing herein is intended to regulate structures that are affixed directly to or installed on or over underwater lands or waters owned by the state of New York. So I guess my question is that accurate, that statement in the draft zoning plan?
That is what's in the zoning plan, and it
Okay.
is a state lake, yes.
So a lot of these regulations in the new zoning plan aren't applicable to Lake Mahopac. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
As it's currently drafted.
As it's currently drafted.
Correct.
So I've seen a lot of questions like the town is trying to limit the amount of boats that people can have at their dock. Only waterfront property owners can access the lake. I don't think that's accurate based on this new zoning plan. So I just wanted to bring that up and kind of clarify things. I've watched the last few board meetings. There's been a lot of hostility between the town and the board, and I don't think it's been very clear with what the town has access to, have control over. So I guess that was my main point. Second of all, if the town does end up having control over the zoning on the lake, I think there's some major issues in here, like the ability to only have 2 watercraft on the lake. I think there could be a significant impact to property values if that is the case. I disagree with the zoning saying only 2 people, or only 2 watercraft per property. I think right here in Section A, it says the purpose and applicability, basically to minimize pollution and to promote public safety. So if that is the case, I think that, like, you know, if it turns out that limiting each property to 2 boats, you know, it must mean that, like, HOAs should be no exception. Marinas should be no exception. And I think that will have a huge impact on property values. If somebody buys a property with an HOA that has, you know, 50 boat slips, and then that's limited to 2, their property value can go from, you know, $500K to $300K overnight. So I think there's a lot of, you know, implications if the expectation is for the town of Carmel to have control over the lake, which I don't think this is what it says, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you very much.
And I do have one more thing. I
Sure.
do like the section 14 where it says, all portable toilets visible from the waterfront shall be screened from view by use of lattice, fencing, or year-round vegetation. I think it's disgusting how that there's porta potties on all these lakefront properties. And, you know, I want my town to be nice. I want to drive down Route 6. I don't want porta potties all over the place. I think that's a great thing to have, just, you know, something blocking these toilets. So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep,
Yes,
that's all I have.
thank you very much for coming
And thank
up.
you for your time.
No, thank you. Craig Baumgartner.
Yes, good evening. My name is Craig Baumgartner. I'm an attorney with offices in Carmel, New York. My address is 1118 Route 52, Carmel. I'm appearing tonight on behalf of a client, and it's regarding one particular property that would be affected by the zoning. Because of that, I don't want to take a lot of the board's time. We have a rather lengthy memorandum that I'll submit to the town clerk. I'll also make sure I load that into the comments section that is available on the website. But just briefly to tell you what my client's concern is, he is the owner of property located on 24 Nicole Way, which is located along Route 6, close to where Crane Road intersects with Route 6. Despite the fact that it's got a Nicole Way address, this property actually fronts directly on Route 6. It is currently zoned commercial, has been zoned commercial since the inception of zoning in the town of Carmel. And under the new proposed zoning regulations, this parcel of property would be changed to an open space residential zoning classification. Now, if you look at this property, on both sides of it, there's commercial uses. Across the street, there's commercial uses. With the new zoning designation, there would be almost no use that my client could, put for this property, all right? Basically, he would be left to develop a single-family residence. All of the other ones that are permitted uses in this zone require more property than he has available there. His parcel is just a little bit over an acre. Throughout the master plan, they talk about orderly development. They talk about, creating these corridor businesses. And this is a perfect property to do that with, all right? It is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood there, that this would be some sort of a commercial use. And it is certainly not consistent that you would put a residence in the middle of all of these other existing commercial properties. So again, not to take too much of the board's time or the audience, because I'm sure they're here talking about more general comments for the master plan. I'll submit this letter to the town clerk, and we will also provide our comments to the board so that they can review.
Thank you for the insight on that. We'll get that off to the
Great.
to the consultant and planning board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Karen Lickar? Good evening.
Hello. So I have no papers, I have no lawyer, it's just me.
You don't need all that.
So my name is Karen Lacar. I reside at 17 Skyview Lane in Mahopac, New York. I also have a piece of property on Lake Mahopac that we've had for about 30 years. And we bought the town, the worst piece on Lake Mahopac. And it took us this long to make something really beautiful out of it. I do have 4 boat slips that I've had for a very long time. I have a couple of people here with me tonight that have been renting from me for 20 years, some more. And I didn't really read the master plan, my bad, but from what I heard, I'm only gonna be allowed 2 boat slips. I do have 4. I pay my taxes so that everybody can have their piece of the pie as well, and I've never went against when my taxes went up. I just paid them, and that's why I have my boat slips. It's not to make any money. It's so that my children and my grandchildren can enjoy the lake as well. So, not being able to keep my boat on my property over the winter, or not being able to have a porta potty that looks like a porta potty. I just feel like the health of the lake is a really good idea. I think the safety of the lake has been safe, and maybe a thought of putting a little sewer around the lake so that there wouldn't be porta potties, and people could actually have access to that, and just taking care of the health of the lake. And I don't know, it's pollution from the boats more than pollution from the homes that are on the lake, perhaps contributing to that with fertilizer and so forth. And I don't even know how you would be able to regulate that. But I'm just here to say nobody loves the lake more than Ray and I have for the past 30 years. I don't want to give it up. I pay all my fair taxes to the government, declaring what I get from my rent for my boat slips, because I like to sleep at night too. But, I just hope that, we can come to some kind of compromise where the little people that live on the lake can stay on the lake and enjoy the lake for the next coming generation and thereafter. So,
Thank you.
okay.
And
thank
you guys have a great-looking boathouse there, and that's a nice piece of property.
Thank you so much.
You keep it really good.
A lot of blood and sweat and,
Yeah.
family help went into that, so.
Yes. But thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Up to you, Mr. Barnett.
Okay. I was chairman of the Lake Mahopac Park District Advisory Board for 29 years. Marty Greenberg and I and the previous board many years ago were the ones who decided we needed to put triploid grass carp in the lake to eat the aquatic vegetation, which was extraordinarily successful. It lasted for about 21, 22 years. Now, I am no longer on the Park District Board. I was summarily kicked off last year, which is fine with me after 29 years. As a volunteer, I don't miss the money. It is obvious to me that the residents of the Lake Mahopac Park District Advisory Board were not involved in this proposed draft. It appears that the lakeside residents of the Lake Park District taxpayers were not consulted in any way, as the burden of these changes falls on them. The Park District had only one meeting at the very beginning of the summer recreational season. No meetings were held at all during the season. The next meeting is supposedly sometime in November. I assume it's this November. The question is this: what is the problem and purpose of these proposed zoning regulations? What is the goal? Too many watercraft crowding the lake? Is that it? Safety? Something else? What? It must be kept in mind the last 2 summers made conditions on the lake feel pretty bad because of COVID. People wanted to get out of the house and recreate. They bought pontoon boats and they did what this great asset provided for them. The way the draft is written puts a heavy onus on the residents of the Park District, especially lakefront property owners. Restricting the amount of watercraft homeowners can possess unquestionably presents legal issues. Will they be grandfathered or their possessions be confiscated? Will not go down well, which is an understatement. If overcrowding is the issue, why is the town promoting the use of the Swan Cove project as a place where the community can use as a car top launch facility? Seems contradictory to me. If the thrust of the proposed regulation is to limit the use and crowding of the lake, I personally don't have a problem with people enjoying the lake or car topping from Swan Cove. No problem. More than a few residents with lakefront properties have adult children, also grandchildren with boats at their parents' property. What are you going to do about that? You can't confiscate that. The proposed draft excludes the marinas and other commercial entities. That's understandable. However, putting the burden on property owners / taxpayers with lakefront access isn't. The proposed draft excludes the marinas and other commercial entities. That's understandable. However, putting the burden on I read it again. In my 29 years I spent on the Lake Mahopac Park District as a volunteer, our main thrust was safety. Not restrictions. Restrictions require enforcement. An extra, in quotes, kayak sitting on someone's lawn is not a problem. An extra, in quotes, boat tied up at a dock isn't a problem. Creating a problem is a problem. Safety should be the main priority. We no longer have the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary patrolling the lake, which was a great addition to the Carmel PD in making the lake safer. There are times when the lake is very active. Good weather, especially on weekends and holidays, is critical for safety. If the Carmel PD was to be more flexible in their hours on the lake and not be patrolling the lake at times when there is very little activity, that's a waste of time and money and taxpayers' expenses. Mandating fewer boats on the lake that are not being used isn't the problem. Trying to get people to get rid of, quote, extra, unquote, watercraft they legally own is a problem. So if they grandfather all of them in, then we're back to where we started. Safety should be the ultimate consideration. When I was on the board, we always supported the Carmel police and the sheriff with equipment or whatever else they needed to do their job. This has to be addressed seriously because the amount of policing on the lake is done at some strange times. I mean, watching the police boat go by on a Tuesday when nobody's on the lake is a waste of time and taxpayers' money. Where it's needed, we need more officers trained so they could be called to go on the lake when it's a zoo. Now, a lot of the homeowners that I know of around the lake don't even go out on certain weekends because it's a zoo. Okay, so what we need to do is have proper enforcement. And this has always been a problem on the lake. Unfortunately, like I said before, the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary is no longer on the lake. Seems people aged out. If anybody's interested in working with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, let me know. So what we need is the time on the weekends where hot weekends and people having fun, they're all rafted up. We need safety. We don't need restrictions. We need safety. And I'm glad I'm not on the board because now I can say what the heck is on my mind. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Ed? Thank you.
Ed, we've known each other a long time. I just want to, I agree with most of everything that you said, except there's no police boat on the lake on a Tuesday. The police boats are there on Thursday, for the most part, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the chief comes and speaks to the Lake Park District. They report to us as well. There's a significant amount of police presence on the lake on the weekend.
If I said Tuesday, I stand corrected.
That's okay.
However, the basic concept, and when I heard that people had written letters and they weren't signed, okay. And some people didn't like that idea, but the reality is what was in the content of that is critical. Now, I don't feel that the Lake Mahopac Park District Advisory Board has had no meetings. No transparency. They had no meetings. They had one in the beginning. The chairman couldn't make it for personal reasons. And then there was some upset about the board actually acting, and we're not going to have a meeting, theoretically, until this November. So my point is, get enough people trained so when there is a problem, because in policing, I assume you go where the problem is, not where the problem isn't. So if it was a Thursday or some other time, we need the ability to be able to get back on the lake and have it taken care of when people call in, because most of the times, oh, we don't have anybody. I understand that. But I think there's a way of working it out. So intelligent people can get things done and get things done appropriately and get the proper enforcement, so make the lake safe. Don't restrict it, because once you restrict it, you got problems and you got enforcement problems, and I don't think the Pound Board wants to get involved with that kind of an issue. Thank you.
I don't think so. But Ed, Mr. Barnett, I don't think anyone thanked you yet for your 29 years. I mean, we were on that committee together, although I was getting paid and you were volunteering, but you did a great service to the community and to the lake, and thank you very much. And just to reiterate what you were saying and to validate, you did. The Lake Committee paid for the boat, paid for us to get a jet ski, paid for enforcement. They really were on the police's side when I was police, but just saying. But thank you very much. So, no one else signed up to make comments. Was there anyone?
I'd like to say something about that.
Sure. Just say your name one more time so that the clerk
My
can
name is
get it.
Andrew Natale.
Thank
I
you.
live off of Colonial Drive.
Yes.
Speaking about police on the lake, I was involved in an incident several years ago when that kid lost his leg. I pulled the kid out of the water. Your police didn't. They stood on their boats with their hands like this, chasing the other boats that they got away from the scene. I instructed the boat to come to the lake where there was an open spot. I, myself, am not a paramedic. I'm nothing. I had to jump in the water and put a kid on a bodyboard and pull him out of the water myself, okay? Your paramedics froze. One little girl there, she saw what his legs looked like. Her eyes popped open and just froze, okay? If you want to have cops on the lake, have cops on the lake that are useful and could actually do something. They're in full dress, they're not in bathing suits, they can't jump in the water to help somebody, they got guns, they got all kinds of stuff on them that they would sink, okay? Let them be useful if they're going to be out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for saving that kid's life. Andy, you want him to write his name on the list?
No, but everybody knows probably. My name is Adam Raff, and I've been living on the lake for at least 20 plus years. But on the law enforcement, yes, there's law enforcement, but how many tickets are being written, how many violations? And I think he brings up a good point. I mean, I'm not sure about the incidents, but I think there is a presence, but what is that presence doing? How many fishermen have proper licensing? We get a lot of fishermen coming in on the weekends. They fish close to the homeowner's property. Becomes pretty intrusive. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it sometimes, I mean, they come right up. There's no body coming in the morning to say, hey, you know, keep 100 feet. I'm not saying right, I'm saying the more, and that was the great thing about the auxiliary boat, is they did a lot of teaching. Hey, you gotta slow down. You know, we have these fines. You know, we don't have anybody showing. People that are new to the lake, they come to the lake, they don't necessarily see the 5-mile-an-hour buoy when they come around the corner. So you have people flying through the 5-mile-an-hour zone. And you get these people like, slow down. Who's gonna hear you when you're revving a jet ski doing, you know, 40 miles an hour on the water, you know, saying slow down? You know, they're not really looking around. Some don't care. But I think a lot of people, if they were simply maybe, you know, we had the jet skis. That was way back when you had patrols of the jet. You know, pull a kid over and say, hey, you know, this is not what we do, because that's where the accidents are coming from. You know, maybe we don't let 10 boats tie up, okay? We can't tell, you know, a couple of boats tying up, but you go out on the weekend and you got 16 boats tied up. You want me to show you pictures? Now, I'm not saying people...
I counted 32 one time.
Well, maybe 16 and 16. You know, and people pay taxes. Yeah, they have a right to have boats, but how much or how many is enough? You know, when you're paying X amount of dollars, you know, I want to say you want to be fair to the homeowners who are paying taxes year after year, more after more. But is 7 boats too many, or 8 boats too many for a home or a property? Because that's what's out there in some places. Maybe that's the kind of law enforcement that we need. You know, we have an inspector who goes around. Maybe that's where we need to start. Now, again, I kind of agree. We have boats, you know, and Ed said a lot of great things. You know, he's done a lot of great things. We have a lot of boats that just sit there. But when you have other things where you know that nobody's just sitting in boats there, they're using them, maybe that's too many. And too less is still too less. And, you know, maybe there's a common ground. Again, nobody wants to hurt the people who are paying X amount of taxes who've had for 20 years those 3 slips so that they could afford to live on the lake. We don't want to take that away from them, do we? No. Right? So those are my comments. Thanks for listening. Love this community.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, so we have the second public hearing, which is on the comprehensive master plan. I don't, oh, you did? How could I skip you?
Charlie Melchner, Mahopac, Carmel resident forever. Thank you, everyone. I was here last week asking questions, and I appreciate the time and the effort, and I think as we look, as the group grows, as it gets out there and information gets out there, obviously I'm talking about what we're all talking about tonight, except for Craig Baumgartner. Everybody else is here talking about docks, regulations, boats on the lake, something I know a little bit about. The LaCars, you're right. You probably fixed the best piece of property on the lake. You did a beautiful job out there. Ed Barnett, we always didn't see eye to eye, but we were side by side doing the right thing for the lake. When you asked me for help, I did it, and we didn't see eye, we always did the right thing for the lake. I'm appalled that you were pushed off that committee or not, because you did a fabulous job, like everybody said. I'd love to know who took over and how come they don't have meetings. And well, I say that in a certain way. But I lean this way and say, who are our liaisons to this advisory board that has not had, you said there's only been 1 meeting this year? Are you aware, who are the liaisons right now to the lake or to the?
Myself and Steve.
You and who? And Steve, did you know that they haven't had any? And I mean that honestly. There's only been 1 meeting, or
When they haven't, they set the agenda. They set the meetings.
Yeah.
When they have the meetings, we're invited to attend
Right.
if we choose to.
Mhm.
But we don't control.
Right. No, I wouldn't
it.
think you would. I
Right.
just didn't know if they're giving information or making recommendations. Because I know at one point they came in and they asked to hire a legal firm, maybe it was from the last board, to go ahead and to find out about zoning and enforcing laws. They hired a firm maybe out of White Plains or something, right? And I know it wasn't going to cost the town any money, but that exact, what we're talking about now, the Lake Mahopac Park District Association did hire a legal firm to find and look into the very thing that everybody's upset about. And now that same thing is not having any meetings for anybody to attend or anybody to look at. And I've heard that before. I've heard it from a bunch of people. And thank you, Ed, for bringing that up in front of everybody here. It seems odd to me that that's our connection to the town board who's going to take care of the town people. And I just, a couple of quick things. You know, most of us go to work every day, like all of you, and we work real hard. And I thank you for your time and your effort to figure all these other things out, which a lot of us don't know what's going on. But when we're told to check the town website to find out information, you know, it's confusing. A lot of us have a hard time figuring out what page something's on, what's new, where do you watch a video, where do you get information. We talked about surveys that went out and rezoning and things that are going on. I've been privy to some of it, but not all of it. But I don't think most of the people here, they're all here because someone told someone or said to someone or posted something that got them like, holy cow, what's going on here? And I think that's wrong. And I had mentioned last time we were talking that, you know, if we have liaisons to the Lake Mahopac Park District Association, which is supposedly supposed to represent the homeowners and the property owners around the lake, at least, is that correct, Ed? That's what they're, and I'm going to tell you because I consider him an expert in that field. If they're representing those people and they're not having meetings or asking for questions, and our liaisons are only getting information from, not at your fault, but if you can't get the proper education on what's going on and how the people are feeling, that's why the people are here. They're here to say, we don't like this or we do like this. I agree, porta potties should be covered. Regulations need to be in place. I agree with everybody saying about almost everything we're talking about. But most of it, I had heard my brother speak a few weeks ago, and he said, we have laws that are in a place right now to take care of most of this. The zoning stuff that we're talking about, I think everybody agrees it's crazy. I think everybody on the board thinks it's crazy. What we're all worried about is, where does it go next? I know last time I was here, we were talking about now we have to start going to the planning board meetings. That's where, and we can't talk at those, right? We can't ask questions, we can just listen, is that correct?
Unless they have a public hearing.
Right, unless they have a public hearing. So we have to, in order to know now, so everybody wants to know, now you have to come to a planning board meeting if you want to know what's happening.
You don't have to come, Charlie.
Okay, or you can watch it on TV.
Well, but
Yeah,
Charlie,
and I encourage you,
but I'm
but I
trying to do
encourage
what-
you to watch it because I watched the both of them.
Yep.
Very informative, and you get a lot of information from that.
100%. But I think my point here is that most everybody doesn't know when, what time, what place, where they're going to go. Who does it affect? What lake does it affect? Are they trying to do it? The one gentleman talking about docks and stuff that are on there, they are talking about trying to regulate and give permits for docks, and they can't currently right now do that. They're not allowed to. Right, they don't.
Charlie,
But currently
Charlie.
they're talking about they're going to move. to
Charlie,
do that.
please
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Charlie,
I'm sorry.
yeah, you have to
Right, I
address us,
apologize.
not.
All I
yeah.
wanted to know was that if we could have a better way to get information to the homeowners. You know, we got that letter that stirred up a whole bunch of stuff from someone, a concerned citizen, basically took the pages of the actual zoning laws that were could possibly be in place, I guess we'll say, of suggestions or upgrades or whatever you want to call it. They copied them, they put them in a letter, and they sent it out to everybody that owned lakefront property, and that got everyone's attention. I find it hard to believe that it's something of this magnitude and this importance around something that's so important, Lake Mahopac, that we couldn't do the same thing to gather up the people to go ahead and to get that. I know we talked about surveys and information, and I understand when this woman Bonnie gets here, who does a great job with so much stuff, she's going to have a lot more information about where she looked at other lakes and things, right, where she got her information from to tell us, and we'll find out then who their lakefront specialists are and how they decided what lakes they looked at. And these are questions we can ask them about how did it affect safety, how did it affect that? I personally have reached out to the Coast Guard Auxiliary on the Hudson River right now to see if we have anybody new that wants to come in and work with the police department or do something. Just this past week, I'm able to go ahead and say at this point, Mahopac Marine and my family's business will donate a slip for the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Donate it, free. will donate a slip for the Coast Guard Auxiliary if they're willing to go out and go ahead and patrol our lake and help, if the police force will give them the opportunity to help them go ahead and take control of the things that are wrong on the lake. Not zoning, not issues like that, but speeding through a 5-mile-an-hour zone,
They-
a wait when
Charlie?
it shouldn't be. Right, but
Plus-
all of those things.
The Coast Guard Auxiliary doesn't have enforcement powers.
Doesn't have powers, but
But
they
they-
can tell people
They
they're
can
doing
They meet at
something.
the VFW, though, if you want to,
Right. I know all
Craig
the
is a
people that are
member.
there. I have someone new that could come in and speak with all of them and help with it. If the town board,
I brought them on the lake, so,
right,
right?
well,
Who brought them on the lake? Me.
well,
So,
Jim could certainly, it was a long time ago and they
well, you
started coming
asked
up.
Jim who brought
Yeah,
them on the lake.
I agree. Well, they used to keep the boat at the marina. That was for the longest time.
Yes.
But in any case, I think that's the stuff we need to be looking at. How do we go ahead and do those things? All this other stuff, I don't think anything we're saying tonight is going to change anything or do anything with you guys. Right now, we have to wait for the planning board, correct?
And we'll
then-
post that on the website.
Yeah.
So that everyone can read their comments and see what,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can comment on their comments.
Charlie,
yeah.
if I can, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Let me
no,
just-
go ahead,
I just
yeah.
want to make everyone aware. We sent the referral to the planning board for their recommendation and review of it. They don't have, they're not the town board. So then they will review it, and they've done a great job with it so far of everything that I've seen and heard and read from them. Then it comes back to us with recommendations, and then we will act upon it. But so, while I don't think they'll have a public hearing with it, only because we've asked the members with the planner to look at the entire document and give their recommendations based upon their expertise. So, you know, the public can, of course, go and listen to that, but the planning board is not making determinations. They're not making, that, you know, they don't have the power to do what the town board will do when it comes time to vote on it. So I just wanted to make sure that you know, everyone understood that.
Sure. So I have the utmost confidence in our board, and especially our planning board, because I know some of the people on both of them. And I believe they have the better thought of what's going on for the lake, for the community, the town, for property values, for all the things that go along with it. I believe they do have that. I especially believe they're very smart people. All of you have a good handle on what's going on. That's why so many of us that look to you and say, well, you're in our community, you're in our neighborhoods looking at what's going on, checking into problems and issues. You're our voice for what's going on. How could the craziness of the docks and the boats and things, which, guys, just, you know, it doesn't really, it's not it doesn't, I don't want to see anybody try to come in and do something improperly enforcement-wise, because it's been a problem my family's lived through, and I don't think it's fair. But it doesn't affect my company and my business in a dramatic way that we're going to be hurt by it, that I'm standing here. I'm standing here because I don't think it's right, the stuff that they're putting in place. I agree that we need some regulation, some enforcement, and I think most of us are saying, all of you who does such a great job for us, where did this come from? And not the rezoning part of it. We understand that has to be done, and if we don't, now we do, we have to rezone. But where did these such dramatic changes get put in? And that's really, I think, what it is. It doesn't seem that anybody up there, or even anybody, which I know the planning board hasn't had a chance to do anything with it yet, but wouldn't implement or try to implement those changes. They just seem so far off the mark on what it could be. I understand there has to be change and regulations and things that are going on, but it seems so dramatic, and I don't think, from what I know of each person that I look at up there, I don't think anybody would want to do that. And I think, looking at you, don't want to do that. That's why I think we're all kind of like, how did that happen? And that's probably the biggest question I think everybody is. How? Why? Like Ed said, if we're talking about safety and we're talking about certain things that are going on, then we really should get the data and the information and all that stuff. I've taken enough time. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everything. Have a great night. We'll see you at the next meeting, I guess.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Sir, in the back? Someone with their hand up?
So Charlie, the silver lining is, look how many people are engaged. Only 1,000 people out of this whole town answered that survey, but,
Little over that.
oh, little over 1,000, sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello. Just a few questions.
Your
name.
Oh,
your
my
name?
My name is Ronald Abreu. I'm over at Pinecone Road, South Lake Boulevard.
Huh?
Just quick questions. How constitutional do you think it is for a state or town to dictate personal property of its citizens? How constitutional do you think that is?
Yeah, so
Do you?
it's obviously not, but we're not going to get into a
Well,
constitutional
just-
Fourth
I guess you don't
Amendment
have to answer, yeah.
debate, but of course not.
How do you feel that a state or town should have the right to dictate free travel of its citizens? Should a state or town have the right to dictate free travel of its citizens?
Yeah, we're really looking for comments, not,
Well, my comment on that is that
I'm writing
if-
the
if-
comments
If such
down. I got it.
proposals are to go, if they do go through, my opinion is that they will be met with great resistance from the citizens
Uh-huh.
who want to own whatever they want to own and travel freely on waterways and whatever. And I think that the legality of such propositions will be challenged if they do go through. Thank
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so opening up the second, what, Vinnie?
No.
I swore I was going to just listen tonight and not speak, but
Vinnie
I can't
Grapuso.
contain myself. Vin Grapuso, 16 York Road. My family has property on East Lake Boulevard as well. Grew up in the town, 49 years. Many of you know me, many of you don't. Spent a ton of time growing up on the lake. My kids are growing up on the lake. Gentleman hit right on the head when he said safety, period. When the new chief came in with the old town supervisor, him and I had a meeting. It was cordial, it was great. He assured me the patrols were going to be on the lake, and they are. I see him. We're out there every weekend almost. Great. Gentleman also hit it on the head. Some of the times are out of whack. Jet skis, huge problem. We all know it. When are they out? 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 o'clock at night. I don't expect you to be out there at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, or a Thursday for that matter. But those times after dinner, during the week, and you're right, there's days where people that are on the lake won't come on the lake because it's a zoo. So if we have, it's easy, it's the flavor of the day to blame everything on the cops. I get it. Those of you who know me know I have intimate knowledge of that. We have a 26-man department? Less?
More.
More?
35.
Where
We're
are we
back,
today?
we're back to 35.
Perfect, good. Probably need 40, but that's a discussion for another day. They can't be everywhere, they can't do everything. Let's come up with some ideas as a community. Do we need constables, for example, peace officers, retired cops trained on Marine, in conjunction with the police department? We don't want to take work away from them. We know that's a whole union thing, get it. But what are the solutions? We can't just say, we can't man it, we can't fund it, because we know it's all funding too, because everything costs money. I get it. So where are the solutions for that? Public safety is huge. I remember some of the bad accidents on this lake. Some of them when I was a little kid, some of them just a few years ago. What have we done differently since? Nothing, right? We've done, and I'm not pointing blame, but where's the constructive ideas? We've done nothing. I'm not pointing blame at all. Back to Charlie's point, I think he made a good point that the citizens can't go to every zoning, planning, town board meeting, lake, you can't do it, it's impossible. So there needs to be some place to gather this information and put it out there so that people aren't in the dark, they're not running on rumors, because up until a week ago, I was running on rumors. Is the rumor true that I can only have 2 paddle boards if I have a motorboat, or not even? And what's, what they're calling in their watercraft, what's the definition of a watercraft? Because it's not a paddleboard, it's not a kayak, it's not a canoe. So we need to get our terms straight in these things because they make no sense right now. Swan Cove, I think, is great. Everyone in this town got tired of looking at dilapidated apartment houses there. Awesome, you can see the lake. Week after week, non-town residents, I see them canoes. I see kids carrying jet skis across the bank parking lot and putting them in the lake. Where's the important, when does the importance fall on the taxpayer? When do we take care of the people of the town, right? Maybe it's a permitting process. Some towns give X amount of permits out for their lakes or their waterways, whatever. Maybe we need to do that. I don't think we can do that. But if things do change and regulation or whatever is, given more to the town, that's something to explore. and that could be a revenue source, which could then fund safety and security. I just want the board to use common sense on this thing. If you can only have a 25-foot dock on the lake, guess what? In most of the places on the lake, you'd only have a 10-foot boat because the rest of the boats will be in the mud. 25-foot dock doesn't cut it if you have an 18-foot boat. Just common sense stuff. If I have 3 kids, I can't have 3 paddle boards in a motorboat? It's absurd. I just want you guys to use common sense. I understand there's time for change and improvement and whatever, but we need to use our brains here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vinny, good to see you. Thank you. Mike, 1 second. You can come up to the microphone, though. No, that mic back there. So the police department said they made 38 stops. They stopped 38 boats, wrote 11 tickets. There was no accidents and only 5 noise complaints this season. I can't remember the last time there was an accident.
797 South Lake. Everybody that spoke was spot on about everything, some more than others, but I don't think rezoning is going to be the answer to this problem. Why don't we outline it to see what the problems are and work on those problems? There's other ways to do it than hit people with zoning, hurting their property. Figure out what the problems are, put it on paper, and then get a solution to every problem. I don't want to duplicate what everybody said. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So you wanted to speak?
Hi, Chad Collegian, Mahopac Point. I just want to take a quick moment and thank Ed for everything he has done. Ed single-handedly saved Lake Mahopac from the weeds. My brother and I used to run the harvester. We chopped the weeds up and hauled them out of the lake, and it just actually made more weeds. And thanks to Ed's leadership, he brought in the first round of the carp, and we went from not being able to take our boat on the water because it was all the prop would get so clogged up with weeds, to 10 years later, we had no weeds. So thank you, Ed. You've done a lot for the lake. So I agree with almost everything everybody said tonight, and especially with the safety issues. My biggest question that I don't understand is if this, well, first question I'd like to know is who wrote this? Who wrote it? Where did this come from?
Nelson and Pope, it's a consulting company that the town board had hired.
That's who wrote these regulations. Have they ever been on the lake? Yeah, okay. Because it doesn't make any sense, all of them, all of the new zoning regulations, none of them make sense that apply to the lake. I think if people want to talk about safety, I think we have to limit the amount of cars in the town. If we're going to limit the boats, we need to limit the cars, right? Because how many, what did you say, 0 accidents? How many car accidents were there last year in Mahopac?
Probably about 600.
Probably about 600, yeah. So I'm saying it to make a point. I know that's never going to happen, but it's the same thing. If you can limit the boats, then you limit the cars. 2 cars per household. I know, right? We don't want to give them that idea. So I think really what needs to be done, if this is done on the guise of safety, is education. A lot of these boaters don't know the rules of boating. They don't know that you can't be on plane at night after dusk. They don't know that you have to be, I think it's 500 feet from shore to tube. They don't know about the 5-mile-an-hour zone. They don't know any of these things, and that's where I think the Coast Guard Auxiliary would be a great informational resource for boaters that don't know the rules of the lake. I mean, the 2 biggest things are, jet skis going in between the boat and the cove or through the 5-mile-an-hour zone, and boats on plane after dark. I mean, that is really dangerous. That's probably the biggest safety issue out there. And that's an education thing, So I just think all of these regulations, these zoning changes are ridiculous, and I'm against them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming up.
I want to duly noted, my name is Gary Collegian, his brother, and he took a couple of my questions, so I don't have to ask him now. So, lifelong resident, moved away for a couple of years, came back, 38 Sycamore Road on the point. I wanted just to hear it. I read the written proposal as it's written, and I didn't plan on asking questions tonight. But I think I want to get back to what Charlie asked and to what Ed asked. And I'd like an answer. what was really the goal of these changes? What are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to achieve? And if it is truly safety, why aren't we addressing the safety concerns outside? And I think Chad just mentioned a little bit of it. But I think the way it's written is so beyond ridiculous. It's offensive, actually, to me. I've been on this lake since I was 5 years old, swimming with my grandparents. And it's offensive to me because we love this lake, period, the end. I would do anything for it, for everybody in this room. But what's the goal of the proposal? And I really do want an answer. I don't want to leave tonight saying, well, I got to go to the planning board meeting to get the proposal idea. Was it safety? Are there too many boats? Are there too many idiots? Drinking and driving. Going through the 5, like I'm not going to say I haven't done that in the past when I was an idiot kid. I get it. I'm not mature more now, but you know, I get the rules. But I can tell you right now, I can tell you, I don't know all the rules of the lake. I've lived on this lake all my life. I don't know the rules to a T, but I can guarantee you I know them a little bit better, and I'm a little more cognizant and aware than people that come to the lake that don't know the rules, or just coming here to fish, and I get it, that's their rights. Or kayak, or bring out their 97 mph jet ski for a rip at 10 a.m. while my kids are tubing across the lake. So those are the not lovers. We're the lovers. We're showing up. So my question, Ed asked it first, I heard it come from Charlie as well. What was the goal? And why was a consultant even hired or looked into when we didn't know what the issue was? Is there a safety concern? Where's the data? Charlie mentioned that earlier. I'd like to see the data of an unsafe lake. And if it really is unsafe, damn it, I'm going to change my ways. What's the goal? What was the objective? What are we trying to achieve? I really do want to know. And the other question is, he mentioned it, my brother, who penned these ideas? I would like to know the names. I have a right. I paid 32 grand in taxes last year. I want to know who came up with the ideas. And I'm not mad at them. I just want to know. I probably wouldn't vote them back in, but whatever. Because they're so ridiculous. They're not beyond anything. And then a consultant, if that consultant doesn't live in this lake, get rid of them. Bye-bye. We're the consultants. But we're the consultants. We live in this lake. I muck raked for years. That was the term we called it. And, you know, I wouldn't have done it for, what, $7 an hour if I didn't at least care about the lake. So, again, what's the objective? I'm waiting.
Thank you.
No, I want to know what the objective was. What was the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to make it safer? What's the data?
I think that's what it says in the master plan. It
So
talks
who came up
about
with
safety.
the idea? It's all about safety. Okay, here's a question. Is my 50-foot dock that goes out into the water, because it's too shallow in off our launch to put a boat there, right? If it's 50 feet, what's unsafe about that? Isn't there a 100-foot buffer zone I have to my shoreline? If people know the rule, don't go jet skiing 100 feet close to shore, they're not going to hit my dock if they know that rule. Education. So why are we saying all of a sudden, out of nowhere, can't be bigger than 25 feet and 6 feet wide? Why are we saying that? Who's coming up with this idea? Forget the penmanship on whoever wrote page 66, G7, 8, 9, 10, and 14, or page 67, all of H and J. Who came up with these ideas before we even thought of a consultant? Because the consultant didn't come to us and say, by the way, we got some issues on the lake. We're going to fix that right away. We better get to it. Who came up with the idea to say, we need to regulate or restrict, or instead of saying, I think we need some retraining on the people that don't live on the lake, on the rules of the lake. That might be, give them a pamphlet as they're launching their boat at McDonald's and Charlie's, you know?
I think they used to be posted. They still
That's
post it
totally
outside?
fine. But who's reading it?
They used to be posted outside.
Responsible. I'm a certified towboat operator. I teach it for a living. I can tell you, I just watch people go by and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Pontoon, 17 people on the front, probably a bad idea, but no, go on your merry way. Hopefully you make it to Canopus. But again, getting back to my real question, enough of the jokes. What was the goal and who came up with the ideas for these these proposals.
Yeah, so Gary, I don't know if I can answer it 100%, but when this first started, there was a committee put together, and that's also in the front of the pages. So it was committee members, it was all of the input throughout all of the different various ways that the community had input in it. All right, a lot of the concerns that we heard from the residents on the lake, and I'm just going to pick a few out, was regarding the docks. People were extending their docks and then possibly going out this way. And if you do a Google map, you can see it. And that doesn't allow their next door neighbor to get their boat in and out. Okay, so if you guys Google it, you will see some of the properties where somebody came out and then over, and it impedes on the person next to them trying to get their boat in and out safely, which they should happen. So that was just an instance. So those are things that came up through the community input, all right, through all of the various things from Sycamore Park to the in-person to the surveys that we did to people just contacting us. There was a whole bunch of input on that. And then the consultants also went to, and you'll have to ask Bonnie, they went to various other lakes of what their regulations are. And can we or should we put them in here? Again, this is a draft. You know, some of it may not be pertinent to here. You know, I've had my draft highlighted quite a bit already, you know, but again, we wanted to put it out to everybody, get their input. We're going to get the planning board's input. We're going to continually get the input. We'll eventually, I'm assuming, get a final draft, and then we'll have more open meetings to say, okay, this is now, like as you say, the nonsense stuff is out of there. Okay, now this is the nitty-gritty that's going to get there. Now what does everybody think? But we did, you know, a lot of people did contact us regarding it, you know, around the lake. And again, the zoning is just not for the lake. It's for, you know, it was for everybody. But the lake, you know, I've heard from this group and, you know, very little from everybody else. So I thank you, everybody, for coming here and giving us your comments, because without them, we would think, oh, okay, everything is good. Yeah, well, no, it's not okay, because I have a bunch of stuff that I don't believe, you know, is there. But, so in answer to that question, yes, it just didn't come out of the blue and handpicked. There was input from community members who may or may not want to come to the meetings to say, because they may feel like, oh my God, I don't agree with them or whatever. So we take everybody's comments very seriously, and, you know, we'll continue to look at it and make it the best we can for all of the residents in Carmel.
All right, I appreciate that.
Okay.
So if it's that, if that's one of the, because you did harp on that, lack of a better term, so maybe it's not a safety issue. Maybe it's a case-by-case issue. If I'm obstructing Eddie, which I hope I'm not, you know, that's something you work on a case-by-case basis instead of putting it into a generalized plan. Listen, Gary, sorry, we gotta lop you off at 25 feet. Forget the 50, buddy. You know, push your boat out of the sand. So I think it's just so, I just don't think a consultant came up with these ideas. It just doesn't make sense to me. So anyways, I'm sorry. Thanks.
Don't be sorry.
Thank you very much for your comments, Gary. Mr. Nichols?
Yeah, hi, Dave Nicholas. I live on the Point for a long, long time. I only have a couple of comments tonight. I'll wait till the planning board for the rest, but I think everything that I've heard or read on this is crazy and wrong, just off the bat. But I never got a survey, and I have more than one piece of property on the lake, and nobody ever asked me for anything, and I never got a survey in the mail, so I don't know what that's about. And I agree with Ed completely about the safety. And the police boat does conveniently leave at about right before dark when all the skiers are still out. And not every night, but lots of nights, because I see it right from my dock heading in. And then there's people out jet skiing in the dark sometimes, not a lot of them, but if they stayed out another hour, they could stop it. and they don't. But I don't think safety is the reason for any of this, because I understand only like 2 tickets have been written on the lake in the last couple of years.
11
Okay, 11. I mean,
this year, yeah.
so there isn't a safety problem apparently, and also the. You don't agree? But and for such a busy lake, sometimes only on weekend afternoons mainly, but there's only been that one bad accident in probably the last 25 years that I know of. I don't know of anything else, anybody else getting hurt since at least 25 years, and that's a pretty damn good record for such an active lake. So I don't think the reason for all this nonsense is safety. It's something else. Another thing is the lakefront taxpayers finance that advisory board, but we have no say whatsoever. They won't be accountable to anybody, they won't listen to anybody, and now they don't even have meetings. I think that's wrong. And then the last thing I have to say is about the fishermen that Adam mentioned. You know how many times I've had hooks and lines stuck to my docks? I've picked dead ducks out of the water because they get strangled from the lines. More than once, about probably 5 times over the years, and it sucks. So, and nobody's saying anything about the fishermen. They come from God knows where. They don't pay taxes here. They don't live on the lake. But this doesn't address them at all. Or people putting in their boats in for the day, or people from other towns going in at Swan Cove. So this whole thing is misguided. And maybe it should be scrapped and start again with the lakefront owners' input this time. That's it for now.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Tom Simone. I'm a lifelong resident here, okay, on the lake all my life. Sue, I know that when we were here the last 2 weeks ago, you kind of took a copy of this letter, the woman gave it to you. So obviously the board's looked at it, okay? You kind of know the reason that we were here to begin with, okay? To the best of your knowledge, is everything what you saw in this letter, not saying it's in the draft, but have you seen the draft? Has this board seen the draft that this outside counsel has drafted? You guys have seen it?
Yes.
The board?
Yeah.
Correct? Is this letter that we have in our hand, is this in that draft? Everything word for word, or is it go up and down, do you know?
I don't think the front page was word for word, because I think that was more narrative, but I believe like the sections that they said was pretty accurate,
Okay,
yes.
okay, so basically, the new zoning ordinances are basically implemented in here, will be changed if everything is agreed on, according to the draft that the council, that town has hired to put together, okay? The reason I'm even saying that is because there are many things in the draft that don't apply to Lake Mahopac. Mahopac doesn't have a tide. Mahopac doesn't have water to sustain 25-foot dock in many properties. My dock is 65 feet long. I am in maybe 4 feet of water at the end of 65 feet. My neighbor's dock is as long as mine. My neighbor to the left of me is long as mine. And the one, two docks down is even longer than that, okay? And he's in a pontoon boat, he's got enough water, okay? What I'm saying is, and he did mention, you know, some of the people that you guys listen to, and some of these things really should be handled on a case-by-case basis. I mean, that's in all fairness to the people in the community, okay, not just me. And so the outside counsel, and there's obviously an architect that's put this all together. I don't think the town board came up with it. There's stuff in here that's written from the New York State Department of Transportation that's actually in here. It looks like they rubber stamped it and put it in here and just put it in a draft because it's on the New York State website. Okay, so there are a lot of things in this draft that really don't pertain to Lake Mahopac. Okay, it's just not sustainable. All right, the biggest thing, the 25-foot docks is like, it'd be great if we had a 25-foot dock and had 6 feet of water there. That'd be really nice, but at 25 feet, I'm lucky if I got 10, 12 inches at certain times. Right now, there's no water there at 25 feet. And I don't know, there's a lot of people that understand that. But the whole thing is, there are many things in this draft that do not pertain to us, It just doesn't work, okay? I know safety has been brought up many times here, and he stated it perfectly. I already talked to the highway department, or the fire department. They have had no calls at all to respond to, except for one little instance. That was a very unfortunate situation that was out of everybody's control. But nothing in the last God knows how many years. Okay, so we're very fortunate that way. Okay, Candlewood's a whole nother story. Candlewood is a disaster. Okay, you think it's busy on our lake? Go to Candlewood. Okay, that's a whole nother story. Okay, but that's their problem. This is our problem. Okay, but it's very important that it seems like this, the town board kind of has the final say on this. Is that the way we get it?
Yes.
But we can attend the planning board meeting just to see what they're thinking about it. Is that correct?
Tommy, we're going to have multiple,
Yes.
there are going to be multiple public hearings on this until we get to a final draft.
Okay.
So there's
yeah,
no, there's,
and
you know,
that's the other thing.
Plenty.
This seems to be in the distant, but it's going to have to be nipped at, but it's going to have to be decided based on Lake Mahopac and just us.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, the code is all of the lakes in the town of Carmel. It's just not specifically the code for Lake Mahopac. It's for all of the lakes. But yes, I mean, I agree with you. There's stuff in there that does not pertain. And
Yeah.
your comment, you're 100% right, like with the length of the docks, the first 6 feet, you may not be able to put your boat up there
Yeah,
that quick.
yeah.
You know, so, yeah, it may have to
Yeah.
go out. I get it.
You're talking about properties, docks that have been there for since
Yeah.
the 60s.
Yep.
Okay, and they've never been a problem. There's been zero issues. Nobody's even complained about them. Nobody even knows, a lot of people don't even know where my dock is. And so just, you know, so the town board understands, we will attend the other meetings, okay? Around the 26th, you'll have a little bit more information.
Well, the 26th is from 6 to 7, the consultant will be here.
Okay.
And then again on November 9th, and then on December 14th.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's pretty tough for somebody on the outside to decide what we need.
Well, they're not deciding. They're not deciding. The town board is deciding, and again, the zoning plan was not, she did not come, or Nelson Pope and Boris didn't come in and say, hey, guys, here's the plan. That's not what they did.
Okay.
They took comments from the public, okay, for the last 2.5 years. They took comments from, we had meetings, oh my God, like every month for 2 years, okay? They took those comments, and then they also took comments or suggestions from other lakes in New York State. So there's a mixture of the
So they gathered up all this information.
and then put it in, and then
Okay.
they said, okay, here's the draft, now bring it out to your people, get their comments, and then whatever needs to be amended, we amend it.
Okay.
So
Now-
that's why it's very important for everyone to
Okay,
give
and
us their
I
comments.
understand, looking at it today, what you're saying. I told you I've lived on a lake all my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the third time I'm going through this. This is the third time. There are always going to be people on the lake, and I've been hearing it since I was a kid, that are not happy about something, and I'm not saying that that their issues are not warranted. But this, even if this all went through, you're still going to be dealing with people that are not happy about something. Okay? I don't care how you do this. Okay? And that's important. This has just been going on and on and on and on. And now it's come to this. And this is pretty evasive stuff. Okay? This is wrong to shove this down the throat to the people in the community. Okay, that don't feel like they ever did anything wrong. And they don't know, like the man said, what is it going to accomplish after it's all said and done anyway? So Thank you for listening to me. Be very careful how you guys handle this one, please. I've known all of you for a long time. You're my friends, your family, to us, okay? We look at you to handle when we can't be here, okay? Be very careful the way you dance around this, okay?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Did another,
So if there's no other comments about this part of the master plan, if I get a motion to keep this open but move on to the other,
I have one more question.
Allison Palm Bevilacqua, I apologize, I just got out of work. I just want to hear, are you considering grandfathering in existing structures, docks, sheds, patios, whatever? Just because I know that a lot of people purchase property, either places on the lake, little units, they purchase property in lake associations, all with the idea that they would have this benefit. They could put their boat in, whatever. And this has basically is robbing them of the benefit that they bought into when they bought these properties. And I can't see why grandfathering, if you were looking at these extreme measures, because I am paying stupid amounts of money from my little property on the taxes. Especially I'm paying school taxes on a piece of property that no child will ever use the lake from. And I know a lot of people, I'm sure people have said this before I got here, I paid a lot of money for this use. And now it seems like the rules are changing and the use that I purchased is now being taken away. And it feels like I'm being robbed, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel that they're being robbed of what they intended when they made this purchase. And it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. So has anyone thought about, well, one, making this match Lake Mahopac with the comments that everybody's making? The people that use it, not some person who does not live here, who copied things out of New York State websites, but the people that use it.
so the people on the planning board are our neighbors and our friends. They're the ones that, make the plans for putting in different construction and decks and everything. So that's why it went to them to review, because they're the experts on our town to tell us, hey, this doesn't look right, or this looks really good, change this. So when they give us back their report on what their...
Okay, so they're departments, though. I'm talking about the people that use the lake.
Well, the people on the planning board, a lot of them
Are
live on
some
the...
of the people that use the lake.
Are some of the people,
But not
yeah.
all of the people who are using the lake.
Yes.
And that's my concern, that we are being heard and that we are not going to be robbed of value.
Yeah, you're not going to be robbed. You're being heard, and we're going to let the planning board know what your comments are. And, when they give us back theirs, and then we'll have a public hearing with the changes on what, everyone, their suggestions being woven into, and things being removed, and things being modified, and, yeah, so when all that comes, then you'll know that, we took care of it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
In our favor.
In your favor.
We want to make this practical and logical. Obviously, this is our draft that just had come out. It was put together for intents and purposes to come up with a draft for a master plan. It needs to be reviewed, and part of the review was the public meetings. Public meetings, I'm glad that everybody came out to voice their opinions and their concerns with the draft. But that's all going to be taken into consideration, and they'll be reevaluated, revisited, and see if we can come to a better solution that, is better for everyone. And we have to start it somewhere, and this isn't the end-all. This is just the beginning to hear everybody else's concerns. And there are a lot of very positive and logical concerns that you have. And I have the same concerns. I don't live on the lake, but I understand everything that you're saying. It's something that we'll look into, and that Nelson and Voorhees is going to have to go over, and we're going to have more meetings. Maybe there'll be put together maybe another questionnaire as far as the zoning around the lake to see, what your concerns are, and let them go through it and see if it makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a gentleman over here.
Good evening. I'm John Spaccarelli. Been in Mahopac 57 years. This year is the first time I was able to afford to buy a piece of property on the lake. But I have 2 sons, and they've always rented a boat slip. And finally, we were able to buy a piece of property, and we were enjoying it very much this year. And I have to say that I always complimented how everybody respected the 5 mile an hour. I happen to be in the Cove. I'm a neighbor to Tommy. I'm a neighbor to Karen. I know these people in my life as well. I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but I do have to say that the little bit of time that I spent there this summer, everybody seemed to respect that 5 mile an hour in that Cove, and I was really surprised at that. So I'm not quite sure about, I'm hearing so much about safety where I feel like I'm not out on the lake a lot. I spend a little time on the deck, but for 11 accidents I just heard tonight.
No, 11 tickets, no accidents.
Oh, no accidents.
Yeah,
Oh,
0.
That's even better yet.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody here in the room to know that I support what they're saying. I really think it's important. I bought the property thinking that we would be able to have a big family, and we all get to enjoy it. We'd like to all enjoy it. But what I'm hearing is that I might have made a bad investment because I bought it at the height, and I paid a lot. It's a beautiful piece, and I'm fortunate to have it, but I just hope that we can afford to stay there. That's it. I just wanted to let everybody know I support what's going on here.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Yes, Gary?
What is the time, well, is there a time stamp on the approval process? How
No.
does it
No.
work? Is
No.
it 6 months from now?
No.
Okay, so it can go on as long as you're getting.
As long as
Yeah,
the public is participating, yes.
Yeah,
There's no
I'm-
time frame.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably the middle of next year. Because we don't want to.
I just wasn't sure.
I mean,
That was
it's
it.
been going on for 2.5 years, but you don't want to rush it because we've gotten all new comments. Do you know what I'm saying? So we don't want to rush it or just say, hey, you know what, this is it. That's not what this board or any board is here to do. But it does eventually have to come to an end, so I'm thinking maybe the middle of next year, for the final draft, not to stamp it, but maybe for the final draft and then go back out for more public comments. But
No, that's fine.
I could
I
be
just
way
wasn't
off,
sure.
but that's my time frame that I'd like, because should give us plenty of time to get what we need. Yeah.
Thank you.
But just to let you know, at least in my opinion, and I think the rest of us, the public will not be shortchanged as we continue this process. So if it takes 3 months, it takes 3 months. If it takes 6 months, 9 months, whatever. As long as, the public's input in this is really, really important, because this is something that's done once every, 20 years, 25 years. So it's an important document that we all, as neighbors, all of us as residents of this town, need to participate in. So there's no rush, we will all work on it together.
And it's got to be a good, solid plan. It's something that we're going to work off of, and it's going to guide us over the next 20 years. We won't want to, look down the road in 10 years from now and see different things taking place, and community building and more businesses coming in, and residents very happy, not moving out of here, but looking to move in here. And we should all be proud of something that we're putting together collectively and collaboratively.
I appreciate all your feedback tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
So can we get a motion to keep this open, but move
Yeah.
on to the other?
So
Second.
move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the second public hearing is on the draft comprehensive plan currently proposed. Can I get a motion to open the?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there a sub?
Does anybody have a comment about the remaining master plan, the remaining parts of the master plan besides the boat stuff? No?
Mr. Supervisor, being that there's no public comments, I'm going to ask that we keep that public hearing open as well.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by McDonough and Shannell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So with the, we can get through the, all right, we can wait 5 minutes.
Right? Why don't you take a couple minutes?
How does that work?
You just, we'll take 5 minutes to let everybody.
All right, so while the crowds are leaving the room so that we can proceed, we're just going to take a 5-minute pause about, hopefully less. Hey, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Yes.
No,
Good.
come
Hope to
back,
see you
it's no
again.
problem. That's fine.
Thank you.
You can come up.
Come here.
Yeah, of course,
Yes,
of
you
course.
can approach. This is not the judge. Yes.
Yeah.
And to what, motion to accept the town board minutes of September 21st and October 5th?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Shannell and McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
The first resolution
Does he not
is a
hear me?
resolution authorizing
not
the
hear me?
mailing of the Lake Cassie Park District newsletter.
Oh, no, I was just telling Ms. Parker,
Oh.
yes.
Councilman Lombardi, would you read that one for us?
Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Lake Cassie Park District, hereby authorize the mailing of the October 2022 newsletter as prepared by the Lake Cassie Park District Committee to all properties within the district and further direct that the cost therein be charged as a district expense. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Can we please have a roll call?
Sure. Councilman Baranowski?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Shannon?
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari?
Yes, Resolution 1 passed. Our second resolution, resolution for review and renewal of the Town of Carmel procedural procurement policy. Councilman Shannon?
Whereas Section 104B of the General Municipal Law requires the governing body of every municipality to annually review their official procurement policy for the purchases of goods and services which are not required by law to be publicly bid, and whereas the town board deems that no revisions are necessary at this time, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the Town of Carmel hereby renews the procurement policy which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, and designates the town controller's office to distribute the policy to all department heads. And be it further resolved that the town board of the Town of Carmel hereby designates the responsible purchasing agents and titles as set forth within the aforesaid policy. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Lombardi and McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 2 passed. Our third resolution, authorizing advertisement for bids. Resolved that Michael J. Simone, Town of Carmel Superintendent of Highways, is hereby authorized to advertise for bids for the purchase of sand, guide rail, and winter mix for the use by the Town of Carmel Highway Department, and be it further resolved that upon finalization and completion of bid specifications, the Superintendent of Highways is to furnish detailed specifications for the above to the Town Clerk and Spofford, which are to be used in conjunction with the town's general bid conditions and specifications. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by McDonough and Lombardi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 3 passed. Our fourth resolution, resolution waiving park facility rental fees in reference to application of the Putnam County Department of Health. Councilwoman McDonough, would you?
Sure, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the waiving of the park facility rental fees in reference to the application of the Putnam County Department of Health for an event to be held on Thursday, December 15th, 2022, in the Recreation Building at Sycamore Park. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Channel. Can we get a roll call?
Councilman Baranowski?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Shannon?
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari?
Yes. Resolution number 4 passed. Resolution number 5 is a resolution authorizing the extension of contract for maintenance services, Lake Cassie Park District R 2019-008. Councilman Baranowski, could you?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the Lake Cassie Park District, has previously sought proposal for maintenance services of the Lake Cassie Park District property and facilities. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the Lake Cassie Park District, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the extension of contract of Mr. Terrence Kelly, Mahopac, New York, to perform said maintenance services for the fiscal years 2023 and 2024 at annual costs not to exceed $13,500. And be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Michael Kazari is hereby authorized to execute any extension or amendment, as well as any necessary documentation required connection therewith. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Baranowski?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Shannon?
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari?
Yes, resolution number 5 passed. Number 6 is a resolution terminating the declaration of water emergency pursuant to Section 151-22 of the Town Code. Councilman Lombardi, could you please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of Carmel Water Districts number 3, 7, and 12, had previously enacted a water emergency with respect to and within Carmel Water Districts number 3, 7, and 12, and whereas the Town Board has been advised by Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., that the circumstances necessitating the declaration of water emergency in Carmel Water Districts 3, 7, and 12 have subsequently abated and that the emergency can be rescinded. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board pursuant to Town Code, Section 155-22A, hereby terminates the water emergency previously declared for Carmel Water Districts Number 3, 7, and 12. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 6 passed. Number 7, resolution authorizing filing of semi-annual MS4 stormwater report. Councilman Shannon, please.
Where the town board has been presented with a draft semi-annual MS4 stormwater report prepared by the Town of Carmel Engineering Department, and now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor, Michael Kazari, is hereby authorized to sign and file said report as drafted by town engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 7 passed. Our 8th resolution is accepting donation of sick time by Town of Carmel employees. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby accepts and approves the donation of sick time to employee number 2777 from the following Town of Carmel employees. Employee 1034, 16 hours of sick. 1037, 16 hours of sick. 2409, 8 hours of sick. And employee 1149, 8 hours of sick. I offer that resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Lombardi and McDonough. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Baranowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes. Resolution number 8 passed. Resolution 9, adopting the amended tentative budget as the preliminary budget. Councilwoman McDonough?
Shall it resolve that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby adopts the Town Supervisor's tentative budget as amended by the attached schedules as the preliminary budget for the fiscal year 2023. I offer this resolution as read.
Seconded.
Seconded by Baranowski and Lombardi. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Baranowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes. Resolution 9 passed. Number 10, resolution authorizing the scheduling of a public hearing in connection with preliminary budget. Councilman Baranowski, could you read that?
Certainly. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the scheduling of a public hearing in regard to the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2023, including the general town fund, highway funds, as well as water districts, sewer districts, park districts, fire districts, garbage districts, fire protection districts, and lighting districts. And be it further resolved that said public hearing shall be held on the 9th day of November 2022 at Town Hall, 16 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, at which all interested parties shall be heard. And be it further resolved that the proposed salaries of the following officials for fiscal year 2023 shall be advertised as required by Section 108 of the Town Law of the State of New York, as follows in said notice. Town Supervisor, $132,388.10. Town Council Members, $22,276.80. Town Clerk, $110,008.36. Town Highway Superintendent, $141,914.10. Be it further resolved that Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized and directed to publish the notice of said public hearing in the official newspapers of the town a minimum of 5 days prior to November 9, 2022. And be it further resolved that the Town Clerk of the Town of Carmel is hereby authorized and directed to post the notice of said public hearing on the Town Bulletin Board a minimum of 5 days prior to November 9th, 2022. And be it further resolved that a copy of the preliminary budget be available at the office of the Town Clerk, where it may be inspected by any interested person during office hours. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon and McDonough. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Baranowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes, Resolution 10 passed. Number 11, resolution authorizing Chief of Police to proceed with the purchase of police vehicles. Councilman Lombardi, please.
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes Chief of Police Anthony Hoffman to proceed with the purchase of 2 new 2022 Dodge Durango Ford Police Pursuit SUV vehicles at a cost not to exceed $41,021.49 each from Robert Green Auto and Truck, Monticello, New York, under New York State Office of General Service Contract PC 68970, and be it further resolved, the Chief of Police Anthony Hoffman is hereby authorized to sign any and all necessary documentation to purchase said vehicle from the vendor set forth herein in accordance with the New York State Office of General Service Contract referenced herein and the quotation dated September 22, 2022. And be it further resolved that the Town Controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget revisions in effect to effect said purchase transaction herein. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon and McDonough. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Marinowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes, Resolution 11 passed. Number 12 is a resolution authorizing emergency purchase, Town of Carmel Police Department. Councilman Shannon, please.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has been advised by Carmel Chief of Police Anthony Hoffman that supply chain issues have created an emergency circumstance with respect to the availability of police vehicles within the existing Town of Carmel Police Department fleet, which may affect the safety and/or property of the residents of the Town of Carmel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of the Chief of Police, authorizes the emergency purchase of 2 2022 Ram 1500 vehicles from New Holland Auto Group Fleet, New Holland, PA, at a unit cost not to exceed $42,371 each, and be it further resolved that Chief of Police Anthony Hoffman is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents to purchase said vehicles from the vendor set forth herein, quotation dated October 6, 2022, and be it further resolved that the Town Controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Marinowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes. Resolution 12 passed. Our 13th resolution is authorizing settlement of litigation, whereas there are currently pending in the Supreme Court, County of Putnam, State of New York, 12 lawsuits respectively entitled The Retreat at Carmel Condominium 1 versus the Town of Carmel and its Assessor and Board of Assessment Review, whereas such litigation was commenced in regards to the assessment of certain real property located within the Town of Carmel on the 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 tax rolls, and whereas a proposed settlement of the litigation has been negotiated by Glenn Drosy, Town Assessor, and Certiorari Counsel Gregory L. Fulchetti, who have been recommended approval of proposed settlement. Now whereas, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes a settlement of the aforesaid mentioned litigation and any other open litigation concerning the assessment of the aforesaid real property as recommended, and be it further resolved that Certiorari Counsel Gregory Fulchetti is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the Town of Carmel the stipulation of settlement and corresponding consent judgment reflecting the terms of the settlement. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Baranowski and Councilwoman McDonough. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Marinowski.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari.
Yes, Resolution 13 passed. Number 14, resolution for submission of grant under Hudson Valley Greenway Planning Grant Program, Volts Park Rehabilitation. Councilman McDonough, could you?
Sure. Whereas the Town of Carmel is applying to the Hudson River Valley Greenway for a grant under the Hudson River Valley Greenway Planning Grant Program, for a project entitled Bolt Park Rehabilitation to be located in the town of Carmel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Carmel Town Board hereby does approve and endorse the application for a grant under the Hudson River Valley Greenway Planning Grant Program for a project known as Bolt Park Rehabilitation and located within this community. I offer this resolution as read.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilman Baranowski. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Baranowski?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Chano?
Yes.
Supervisor Kazari?
Yes. Number 14 passed. Quickly comments. Again, I want to reiterate, our planning board is doing a great job looking at the draft master plan and the zoning changes. If you want to go to our website, you can view all of the meetings, not just the planning board, but of course the town board and the zoning board. But if you go to the 28th of September meeting at 43 minutes in, timestamp, you'll see their first explanation of the master plan and why we need a master plan. Our planner, Pat Clear, does a great job, and the board also. And then on October 13th, at just about 59 minutes in, they take it up again and discuss the proposed master plan some more. Some announcements. We have hydrant flushing at Carmel Water District Number 2. That's October 10th through October 28th. At Carmel Water District Number 3 on Halloween through November 2nd. And Carmel Water District Number 12, November 2nd through the 4th. For specific details, go to the engineering department on the Town of Carmel website, ci.carmel.ny.us, where informational flyers are posted under news and announcements. Any questions, you can call our friends at Infomark. They're the vendor that operates our water and some of our sewer plants. That phone number is 845-228-0460. 845-228-0460. There's an event Community Cares is hosting, Drink for Pink, and that's going to be tomorrow night, October 20th at 6 p.m. at Frankie and Augie's at 3673 Hill Boulevard in Jefferson Valley. There's appetizers, cash bar, pink drink specials, raffle prizes. There's music by Two Guitars and Tom Dillon and Friends. And this is for a great organization, Community That Cares. And also on Sunday, the 23rd of October, from 1 to 4, rain or shine, Carmel Hamlet Civic Association is having their Halloween parade and party. I hope to see all of you there. It's going to be at the Carmel High School, 30 Fair Street, Carmel. The parade is for children from preschool up to the 4th grade. It's free admission, costume prizes. The judges will view each group upon entry, refreshments. All children will be treated to a door prize, face painting, crafts, and fun activities. The Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks Department is having their Harvest Fest, and that's on Sunday, October 30th from 12 to 3 at Sycamore Park, 790 Long Pond Road. It's free to residents only. A fun-filled day of music, activities, petting zoo, crafts, and food vendors, a haunted maze, and more. And you can visit the Recreation's website, and that's at www.carmelny.org/recreation. That's all the things I have. Councilman Lombardi?
On Saturday, November 5th, from 11 to 3, there'll be a food drive at the Red Mills Convenience Shell Station, which will be benefiting the St. John's Food Pantry. Again, that's November 5th from 11 to 3, so hopefully everybody can see you there. This is just in time for Thanksgiving, those who are in need. We always try to help out at this time of year, so hopefully we'll see you then.
I have nothing, no.
Steve or Sue, you have any comments?
Nothing here. Thank you.
All right, so can I get a motion to close the voting meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Shannon, all in favor?
Aye.
Andy, thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, any public comments? Jess?
Ellen O'Leary, Vista on the Lake. It's just a request for the Highway Department to repave old US 6 from 312 going around the reservoir by Skeech's pool place. Craters everywhere. They've tried to fill them, but there's a lot more that haven't been filled, and the road is very narrow. People don't stay in their lane, so it's a traffic hazard in my eyes. So I just wanted to ask.
So Route 6,
Old Route 6 coming from 312 to 6, and you make a left on Old Route 6, and you go around the reservoir, and it winds up on Houston, that area there. It's obvious to everybody, it's a mess over there. Thank
Okay.
you for
From
listening.
312 to Houston.
yeah, from the stoplight out to the reservoir.
It's a major light on an old.
On 6, across from the Dodge dealer.
Yes, exactly. You make
Yeah.
a left on Old 6.
Okay.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
tell the highway, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
All right, so we'll make a note to highway for that. Can I get a motion to move, to open up the town board work session?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's skip to the end, and Joel, if you would get up. We're moving number 3 to number 1, Joel Greenberg, AIA, NC, NA, or whatever. Consider request to approve open development, tax map number 64.13-1-16, 334 Austin Road. Oh, thank you, Vinnie.
As the supervisor said, this is a parcel of land at 334 Austin Road. It's approximately 8-point-something, over 8 acres, and there's an existing house where Mrs. Jedlicka resides at the present time with a garage, a shed, and a pool. What the purpose of this open development is to create a second lot on the property, so the existing house would have almost 6 acres, 5.9, and the new lot, as per the code, has 3 acres or 120,000 square feet. The reason we're here before the town board is that this is what's called open development. We are creating a lot which has no frontage on Austin Road. As you can see from the drawing here, the existing lot only has 100 feet of frontage on Austin Road, which is required per lot. So therefore, this lot has no frontage, and therefore, we have to get what's called open development from the town board. And basically, that's it. We've already had the testing from the health department. We've got their approvals for the septic and the well for the new house. The existing house has a well over here and a septic on the side. And it's basically ready to go. We just have to get one small variance from the zoning board, and then we can go back to the planning board for final approval.
Thank you, Joel. Anybody have questions? Okay, good to go. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Want a copy of the?
We have them.
We have them. Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening, and the judge.
I did watch the presentation.
What's that?
I watched the presentation in front of the planning board.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I was expecting your pointer. I don't know what happened to your pointer. They told me you'd bring it.
It was pointless.
I'm very disappointed now. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Good night.
Chris, you got to shave.
You don't have to take that from him.
He'll get me later, don't worry about it. So jumping back to number 1, which is now number 2.
Well, review the town board minutes.
Huh?
Review of town.
Oh, yes, I skipped that. I ask everyone, thank you, Frank, ask everybody to review the town board minutes from October 12th. We got them in an email from Ann Spofford. And then if Mary Ann Maxwell, our town comptroller, would please present her item, consider budget revisions, August through September 2022, number 2022-04.
Thank you. These are the budget revisions for the general fund, the highway fund, debt funds, and several capital funds. Next month, I'm going to be bringing to the board the water and sewer districts and the recreation department. There was a lot, so I figured I'd break it up a little bit. 4 pages, you know, would have been a little bit overwhelming, so just kind of cover it right now. General fund. So in the general fund, we're providing for surgery settlements of $10,000. Number 2, we're providing for the retirement incentive and payout of accrued time of $122,240. That was in the police department. Number 3, we're providing for LPR systems and docking stations for police vehicles from a New York State SAM grant. That was a total of $22,362. That was also in the police department. Number 4, we're providing for police overtime from traffic control revenue received. This is the revenue that we've received from Villa Barone, so it's helping, it is paying for the overtime for the police officers to cover those shifts. Number 5, we're providing for the transfer to Carmel Water District Number 7 to fund the increase in district emergency costs in 2022. So far, we've transferred $70,000. I'm hoping that gets us through the end of the year, but I will, you know, if not, I'll have to come back to the board to transfer more. It is authorized up to $100,000, so hopefully we won't need that, but we will see. Number 6, we're transferring for the purchase of a police vehicle. This is for the K-9 vehicle. $64,000 was requested to transfer into this line. I think originally they were going to purchase this vehicle in the '23 budget, but instead we're transferring money from the police salary line. $64,000 is coming from that line. There is a surplus in that line because there's some vacancies in the police department. Number 7, we're transferring for police holiday pay, lake patrol, K-9 overtime, and other expenses in the lake patrol and K-9. A total of, I think it's a little over $120,000 is getting transferred within the police department to cover those costs. Number 8, we're transferring for health insurance costs. Back when we did the budget in 2022, we budgeted 8%. The individual and family health insurance costs came in at 11 and 12%, but that was after the budget was adopted in '22. So that's in the single and individual. The retirement costs went down. Well, didn't go down, but they were less than the 8%. So we're able to transfer money between those lines to cover it through the year. In the highway fund, we're providing for our highway general repair expenses from anticipated FEMA reimbursement. We've been approved for $488,500 through from FEMA. This is from Tropical Storm Isaias, which was back in August of 2020. Believe it or not, we haven't received the funding yet, but it's been approved. Mike Simone has requested to use that money to, do necessary repairs, drainage, paving, throughout the town. So that's what that. If it will change, if those numbers do change, I will, let you know. Once we get the final funding in. Also in the highway fund, we're providing for highway machinery capital expense. The board did approve the highway superintendent to go ahead with the purchase for the 2 highway vehicles. So that money is coming from the fund balance, $560,000. In the CHIPS funding, we're providing for highway project costs, and that's just transferring within the CHIPS funding. That's covered by grant money. In the debt funds, we're providing for additional band payments in the debt funds. $220,000 was paid down on the drainage and the airport park. In the road resurfacing, we paid down $100,000, and in Carmel Sewer District Number 1, we paid down $15,000. I'll just explain that a little bit. Before we went out and bonded those projects, I paid down any surplus that we had, so we wouldn't be paying additional, debt on that. So if we had a surplus, I used that money to pay down the bands before they were bonded out. In the capital drainage fund, we're transferring $3,000 for capital project cost. In the special capital drainage fund, which is, I believe, Birch Road, that $250,000 is provided for capital costs from approved borrowing. In the airport park, we're providing for capital improvements of $250,000 from grant funding. And I think that is going towards the playground, that funding. Highway resurfacing capital project, we're transferring $15,000 in that fund. for capital project costs. Carmel Sewer District Number 5, $200,000 for capital costs from approved borrowing, and Carmel Water District Number 14, $3,200 from approved borrowing. That's, has to do with the tanks. And that's it. That's all I have for those funds. Okay?
Thank you.
Welcome.
So, last but not least, Richard Franzetti, PE, Town Engineer, update us on the EV charging stations at Town of Carmel.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. As the board is aware, I'm not going to go through the whole memo word for word, so you should be happy about that. But on the grand scheme of things, the
Thank
town- No problem. The town received a grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for the supply and installation of 4 EV charging stations. The grant provided $13,068 per location for a total of $52,272. Grant requires that the units be a certain type and have a 10-year service agreement with the service provider guaranteed in the equipment. We've identified the locations as Mahopac Park, Carmel Town Hall, Red Mills Convenience Store, and Mahopac Bank parking lot, in essence, the Swan Cove. What this works out to be, after going through much gyrations, we were going to try to do some of the work in-house, but after it was determined that some of the work is highly specialized, that we would have to end up hiring electricians and other folks, not just so we can get a pad in. It's easier to have one turnkey solution. Part of the reason why that turnkey solution works for this particular company we're going to recommend, plug-in stations, is because they get the grant money, they get additional grant money outside of this, so they get these incentives to put these things in where the town would not get it. So it would cost us more money if we went and did it on our own than what I'm going to be talking about here. So the total amount of the project, after trying to, when we're going to recommend plug-in stations, is $108,833. Of that, as I mentioned, $52,272 is reimbursable by the town, and therefore the town would be out of pocket $56,561.62. And we would have to pay the amount to the contractor, then apply for any of the reimbursements from the state. So that's kind of where we're at. This went through a lot of review and gyrations to get here. We don't have that money available, so it would have to come out of the general fund. I had spoke to Mary Ann earlier today. I did not include that in the memo, and I apologize. So that's kind of where we're at. So we have a grant for $52,000. The overall price of the projects is about $108,000. We'll be out of pocket $56,000. So it's 50% match in essence.
So Rich, you were saying that plug-in gets like an additional, I'm going to say discount?
They get incentives from the state and from NYSEG that we wouldn't be eligible for.
Right. Do they pass that on to us?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just
Similar,
wondering.
so I'll akin it to, I have solar panels on my house that I'm renting, right? I didn't purchase them because I didn't have that kind of capital. I still don't. So I would have gotten the incentives for having it at my house, but I would not have gotten the same incentives. I signed away a bunch of incentives, even if I purchased them versus renting them. Solar City at the time got all the incentives. I only would have gotten a partial of those incentives. So we don't get it all. It just has to do, it's what they do industry-wide. That was a handful of years ago. I know it's not quite the same, but no, we would not be eligible for it.
Okay. And then, Mary Ann, when we get the $52,000 back from the state, from the grant, that's going to go back into the general fund, right?
Well, no, it wouldn't, because we're paying Plug-in Solutions the entire amount of $108,000.
Right, but then we're getting it back.
No,
It
no,
says
no,
that
it's
the state-
$108, $52 we get for free that we're paying to Plug-in Solutions, and the delta is $56 that's coming out of our pocket.
That would have to come out of the fund balance. 56,000 is cost to the town.
Oh, I misread. I thought the state was going to give us back some more money.
I only wish.
Okay.
Let me ask you one question. Did you speak to Dave Jenkins after you had proposed this to me? I did give him a call, and he told me that our out-of-pocket would be somewhere around, in the figure around $26,000.
I did not speak to him. I thought he did not get back to me with any of that information.
I'll
So
check and
I
see.
think he, if he can get it to us, that's something we need to talk about and bring it to the board.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that was his number, was closer to 26,000, but I'll check and make sure.
Yeah, yeah, all right, so.
Rich, the charger that's going to go on, it says Mahopac Bank, but is that actually on the bank's property, or
No,
will
it
that
would.
be on the park?
Sorry, I cut
The
you off.
park.
Yeah, it would be in the park's property.
It'll be in the park?
It would not be
Okay.
on ours.
So will that be postponed until the park is, effectively done?
No, because we have a certain amount of time to put this in, so we have a location for it that we've identified. It could be moved in the future within that park going forward, and that would be part of your overall goal, but we would get it in there so that it's in there, which is what we kind of have to do for this.
Okay,
for
so it
this.
has to go in soon.
I think it has to all be done by March or May of next year.
Okay, got it.
Councilman Shannell was spearheading a lot of this early on, and, and then it came out of my office, and I've been out of pocket, as you all well know, so I kind of was not
Right.
here for a lot of it, so I'm trying to,
I'm glad to see it's finally going through, and we'll have
Yeah.
some charging stations for
It would be
residents
great.
and visitors.
And we are going to be doing some of that parking by the bank, because that agreement that the previous board signed was 30 months, and it's
Right.
way past that. So we will be working on that, and there will be a location for it. And we don't
Thank you.
have
Thank
a-
you
we
for
don't have a
your
choice
work.
on that.
In your office, thank you.
I do have an announcement to make if everyone's done with questions on the EV charging. Are we good?
Are you going to announce that the price is double because they made us get 10 years insurance on something that's not going to last 10 years?
Well, no, they made us have a 10-year warranty that
Yeah.
probably we don't need a 10-year warranty for, but that is what the
But that's New York
requirement of the
State.
grant is. So those are the
Yes.
fine details when you get grants, is that there's stuff within there, so.
There's always a catch.
So, are there any other questions? I don't want to.
No, I'll get you offline.
Okay. So, we mailed out a public notice today to the folks who live in Carmel Sewer District Number 5, Hillsdale. Those include Carey Street, Green Lane, and Richard Street in Mahopac. Beginning the week of October 31st, I believe it'll be occurring on November 1st, weather dependent. We will be performing smoke testing in the sewer system there. This is all part of the NOV that we were issued to upgrade the plant. And so we're doing it as part of the entire study. So we sent out a notice to the folks there. We're going to also put in a whole bunch of other notices. We're going to post it on our webpage. We're going to put the variable message board up. We're going to do an emergency notification on that Monday. We're going to get stuff on the public access channel. So we're going to get that message out, but this is the first time, this is the only meeting, town board meeting before that we do that work. So the smoke testing is being run by Duke's Control, Infomark Services, and the town of Carmel would be your contacts, but there's a whole bunch of information that will be posted on the webpage starting next week, so.
Yeah, but if we put the variable message boards on the two entrances, pretty much.
Correct.
Coming off of 6N, they have to see it. But it's very important that they realize, like you said, that this is a smoke test, and on that day, there may be smoke in your house, and that's,
Or coming out through your yard, or coming up through a
That's
gutter
gonna be a
leader, or
scary
something
thing.
to that effect. So we're trying to determine, that particular district has some high flows in it, so we're going to figure out where we see smoke coming out. It could be cracks in the pipe, though we did do videos of it, and the pipe were in good condition. Who knows, right? There could be lateral cracks that we're not seeing, and the smoke would come up through the ground ultimately, and that's where they'd be noted, and we'd have to do additional investigations to figure that out, so.
right. But if they have a sump pump, it could be coming out into their basement, and
Correct.
that should not be connected to the sewer, and
No sump pumps should be connected to the sanitary sewer in any of our sewer districts.
Yes.
So that's another public service announcement.
thank you.
That one was for free.
Thank you. Important one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Good night.
Thank you, Rich.
So we have Police Chief Anthony Hoffman coming into executive session, and we were going to work on our 2023 budget both in executive session. So can I get a motion, and we'll be adjourning?
So moved.
Be adjourning from there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.